Now, with a channel like mine, as you can imagine, I get sent a lot of support tickets, but one thing that I literally always, relentlessly, continuously never get asked is, Neil, what do you do when you're not playing 3D CAD? Well, the answer to that's twofold, mate. When I'm not playing with 3D CAD, I'm either bouncing my head off of the corner of a sharpened desk trying to make Autodesk Vault work, or I'm playing with cars, both real and pretendy-like. So as a one-off video for a fun day Sunday, I'm still playing with Vault, but that doesn't make for a very entertaining video. I did try that, but nobody wanted to watch it. So let's play with some cars in a kind of twisted, but still quite relevant to CAD and engineering and TFI kind of a way. So this thing might look familiar to a few people. You might have seen the full 3D CAD model for this appearing a few times in some of my older videos, most prominently in the Inventor Can Do photorealistic rendering video, where I tried to recreate this old Top Gear promotional photo using the 3D CAD model, with the plot twist of course being that this actually was the 3D CAD model all along. Did I get you again? Check out that video if you want to see how I did that with the 3D CAD program, notorious for being not the best with rendering, shall we say. And fellow car enthusiasts will know exactly what this is, but for those who don't, this is the Mono from BAC, otherwise known as Briggs Automotive Company. And BAC is a modern, thoroughbred British success story. It's founded by brothers Neil and Ian Briggs, which is a little bit trippy given that I'm Neil and my brother's called Ian, although their Neil decided to spell his name wrong. They've both got a hideously impressive history within the automotive industry, and in 2009, well, they went solo and BAC was born, with a rough concept of the Mono developing rapidly. And their goal for the Mono was to design and build a supercar which isn't limited by manufacturing logistics or hindered by budgetary constraints. The dream car would provide the ultimate in driving pleasure and performance with absolutely no compromise. It will be spectacular to drive, they say. It'll handle better than any other road or race car. It'll fit the driver like a glove, and it'll achieve the perfect weight balance from all angles. It's essentially a clean sheet of paper design which will look unlike anything anyone has ever seen before. And having had the esteemed honour of seeing one of these cars in the flesh and carbon fibre, it's an overused cliche, mate, but let's just say that pictures do not do this thing justice. It is utterly magnificent. And as you can imagine, it's no slouch. The engine is an all-aluminium 2.5 litre normally aspirated 4-cylinder Mountune Racing Ford Duratec based engine. It's a popular choice across a variety of motorsports due to its lightweight construction, and in the Mono, this thing spawns 305 brake horsepower and 227 foot-pounds of torque, which on paper it's like, hang on, you lot said blah blah blah, no compromises, yada yada yada, and like any other car, my car's got 450 brake horsepower. What do you mean you've only got 305? Well, my car weighs roughly the same as the Houses of Parliament, whereas the Mono, well, let's just say I lose more weight after visiting the loo in the morning, and as such the Mono hits 0 to 60 in 2.8 seconds, which is roughly the same amount of time as it took to say that out loud. That's like mind-bending numbers, and this car's nuttier than a squirrel's fart, but what the heck has this got to do with anything anyway? Well, the Mono is a modern engineering masterpiece, and more significantly from my point of view anyway, BAC are heavily invested into the Autodesk ecosystem, using Inventor amongst other Autodesk products to design and develop Mono. And I like to think that they learned a few tips from my Inventor videos to help tune the mechanics and physics of the Mono, but they probably didn't. In fact, they definitely didn't. They've probably got a red presidential phone direct into Autodesk HQ, but nevertheless, these guys are an inspirational success story for Autodesk Inventor. So for this one-off Sunday fun day, I've decided to mix several of my nerdy obsessions together: Autodesk-inspired 3D CAD design, physics and simulation, virtual reality and cars and sim racing. Meld them all together, and this is how I spend the majority of my almost non-existent free time. And welcome to Assetto Corsa, the driving simulator for PC and console, I suppose, but it's better on the PC. So in today's Sunday Fun Day, mate, we're going to be taking the BAC Mono, which has been through its design, its simulation, all its physics, and its CAD in the real world, and it's being transferred into the digital world. And we're going to take the BAC Mono and we are going to hawk it around the Belgian GP circuit Spa. We're going to do 5 laps in the BAC Mono in virtual reality, because this is an absolute dream. If anyone's not familiar with any of this stuff, it's an honor for me to show people this, because it's crazy what we can do now with technology. And anyone who's inside of the sim racing world is probably a bit confused that there's people out there who don't know about this stuff. But yes, indeed, you can put a VR headset on and you can drop yourself in the cockpit of any car and drive around any circuit in the world like you are there. And anybody who's came into my office and seen and experienced this has been blown away by it, and nearly them all didn't have a clue you could do any of this stuff. So indeed, we're going to be taking the BAC Mono around the Belgian GP track in its 2.5 litre, 305 brake horsepower, 0 to 60 in 2.8 seconds, goodness. And we're going to be doing it in Assetto Corsa, which is one of the main driving simulators. It's my favourite. In terms of the race, we're going to be doing the Belgian GP and the BAC Mono. Let's set the race up so we can get it going. So we've got this. The track's going to be Spa. In terms of opponents, we're going to be racing against 8 BAC Mono cars. Summary, right, let's set the race up, mate. Let's go to time of day, 1 o'clock. Yeah, that's fine, right, weather mid-clear, ambient temperature, we'll do 5 laps, not 10, or else this could go on for a while. We're going to start last. We're going to see how far we can get, starting from last on the grid. We're going to make this as realistic as possible as well. We're going to have traction control off, stability control off, we're going to have full damage on, so if I hit a wall or if I hit another car, I'm done for. We're going to start off with cold tyres. Fuel consumption, we're going to be using fuel in real time, same as tyre wear. And then let's go over to the AI strength. So we're going to go for strength 100%. I think that's probably about fine. And yeah, we're going to go for the AI as difficult as possible to make this as realistic as possible. And then let's hit the road and see how we do. And you join me in the cockpit of the BAC Mono in virtual reality on the starting grid of Spa in Assetto Corsa, and what a sight to behold. It is magnificent. However, if you've never seen VR content on YouTube, I understand if it might be a little too much because it's shaky and you're not seeing necessarily what I'm seeing. Everything's quite steady for me in virtual reality. However, on YouTube it's going to be quite bouncy and shaky. But this is on another level. It really is. The fact that we can drive a car in a simulator and have this level of immersion, it's unreal. It really is. But let's get cracking. Let's get the car set up to the way we want it. There's not much configuration for this particular car. The simulators these days have quite accurate, realistic physics and mechanics. Example being the tyre simulator. It can test for, you know, the tyre wall flex and heat transfer onto the road and tyre wear, that kind of thing, based on pressure and speed through the corners. But we're going to run with slicks. We're going to run with 15 litres of fuel, and I think that's pretty much it. All assists are off. I've increased the number of cars to 16, so we've got a bit more of a race. And I think let's get cracking. They're at 100%. All assists are off. Tyres are cold. Let's get cracking, mate. Let's get cracking. We're P17 at the back. This thing up here at the top right is my pedals. It just lets you know when I'm braking and accelerating, and I'm sprayed in the face by the turbulence of the Mono's magnificent 0 to 60 in 2.8 seconds. Happened a long time ago, mate. As we're up to turn 1 at Spa, notorious for being an absolute festival of doom and destruction, especially with the AI, as they have absolutely nothing to live for and are well known to shunt players out the way with little regard for anyone's well-being. And the tyres are cold, so I'm just going to take it easy at the start of the race. I'm not going to get too carried away with anything. Let the tyres warm up. And if we get a little bit too ambitious, the AI who brake way too early. I've had to restart this race several times because of AI braking too early, brake checking me, sending me off the track, shunting me out the way. So I'm just going to take things easy whilst there's a traffic jam of cars in the way. Just get the tyres warmed up, and then we can start getting a little bit more aggressive on the track and start chipping away at positions. But of course, I don't like to lose, so I'm looking to win this race. But we are down in P10, and I'm getting attacked on the inside here. Defend that position. Flat out on the inside. Let's take this position up into P9, and yep, tyres are at optimal temperature now, so I think we are good to start getting a little bit more aggressive on the attack. Okie dokie, right up into P9. So here we are in Assetto Corsa in the BAC Mono, and what a car! What an absolute car! I can see that 2.5 litre Mount Tune Duratec engine spinning away through the chassis of the BAC Mono. Oh, that absolute beautiful banana mono. And if there's any times where I'm sitting on the rev limiter, it's because I do have the game sounds turned down quite low, so I'm not really hearing my own engine too loudly over the sound of my own voice. So there may be times where I'll lose some time sitting on the rev. Oh, there's been a crash, contact up ahead, but this guy here seems to have saved his position. But we're ahead of Banana Car, and we're up in the P7 at the end of lap 2. Heading back into T1. I'm going to take the inside and accelerate hard out of the turn, up in the 3rd gear, flat out into Eau Rouge, carrying as much momentum as possible. I'm going to hit Eau Rouge in 5th gear on the limiter, ease off, clip that apex, flat out now, carry as much speed as we can into the Camel Straight, where P4, 3, 2 and 1 are up ahead, and we should be able to catch those guys pretty easily. So, oh, sliding, easy to catch. This car is such a delight to drive. It's such a well-designed car by the guy who modelled it as well for the mod. It feels so light and precise. You know, when you turn the car, you can feel just there where the car starts to lose grip. The force feedback relays that right back to you really well. But the car in the game feels like what I imagine the car would be like on the track. It's light, it's precise, it's got grip for days, mate, grip for days. Light on top speed. It's only, oh, say only 170 miles an hour top speed. Maxes out in 6th gear. Whereas the likes of my car, which is an M4, if unrestricted, would max out nearer 190 miles per hour. But this car, because it's so light, it excels in acceleration and grip. There we are, taking that inside, and we're up to P2. There's P1 there, right, so now it's a duel between me and P1. I'm going to get him easy. I think I'll probably get him on Eau Rouge in lap 3 into the Camel Straight. But yeah, it's such a nice car. So nice to drive. Brakes really well. You can almost feel the force of the braking. Whereas in real life it would rip out your testicles and send them into next door. Of course you don't get that kind of feeling in simulators. That's where there's quite a significant detachment from real racing drivers. But as predicted, I think I'm going to get this guy through the next turn. This chicane which dips down and then up is called Eau Rouge, that's the name of the turn. And then the straight afterwards is called the Camel Straight. And he's brake checked me in the middle of Eau Rouge. Not cool, mate. Not cool. Took the momentum there. Possibly on purpose. Could be a genius move. But nah, he's still there. I'm gonna try and outbrake him here. Got a slide on, caught it. Where is he? Can't see him in the mirrors. Oh, he's well back, right. P1 is obtained, and now it's a case of defending the lead for the next couple of laps, which should be pretty simple and straightforward. And whilst we're defending the lead, it's probably worthwhile just having a bit of a chat about some of the equipment that we've got on show here. Of course, I'm using the HTC Vive. Anybody looking at the rest of the gear going, ah, this looks like a jolly old bit of fun, mate. How do I get into this and how do I do this myself? Well, it's expensive. But more to the point, you need time. Time is what you need if you want to get into sim racing, because this eats up your life. It's so much fun that you want to spend every waking minute just driving around the virtual world in what feels like such a real experience. Clipping apexes and just maxing out on straight. It's so much fun. But the equipment that I'm using would be considered in the sim racing community as being quite entry level. It's not the best. I'll bought all this gear when I wasn't too sure if I would enjoy it, and now that I do, the gear actually does the job quite nicely, although there is far better gear you can buy. The pedals that I'm using are the Thrustmaster T3PA Pro pedals, which are nice. They are nice, but I'm not able to bolt them down all that well because the stand I'm using is quite poor. It's the Wheel Stand Pro, which is quite cheap, but it's doing a job. It's just doing the job, that's it. Can't say much more than that. You can't get full fabricated racing chassis once you get really into it. But don't really have the room for those as we pull well away from the guy in P2. I'm not sure how far behind he is. 7 seconds behind. Yeah, we've got this race in the bag, and there's still another lap to go after this. The wheel that I'm using though is quite popular, it's quite common, but it's now obsolete and out of date really. It's the Thrustmaster TX wheel, or the base unit was. I've replaced the stock Thrustmaster wheel with this Alcantara covered Ferrari 599 Evo X wheel, which is lovely. The problem with this wheel though is that it only supports the Thrustmaster base. So if I was to get a new base to replace the TX, I'll have to get a new wheel, and that's when things start to get quite expensive. But it does the job. The Thrustmaster TX base is quite notchy. You can feel bumps as clunks, and the force feedback is, that's the best I can describe it, is it's notchy. It feels like gears and clunks rather than, you know, actual bumps in the road. On a real car, a bump in the road is just a sharp, smooth turn or a kink, whereas in this wheel, it feels like a gear clunk, two teeth clashing together. But it does the job. It does the job. So that's the pedals, the wheel, and the base that I'm using. And the broke well late there, but it's fine. It's fine. We've got time for days. The seat that I'm using, I suppose it's a bit ironic actually. A lot of these office chairs that you buy these days, which are designed to look like car seats, are no good for this. Really not, because they're on wheels, mate. So if you're pushing down on a brake pedal or an accelerator, if you're on wheels, what's going to happen is you're going to push yourself back, because these seats don't have any kind of locking mechanism on the wheels. So I'm using what's called an X-Rocker gaming chair. It's quite low to the ground, which is nice, and it stays put. It does have some movement in it, and it's quite nice for using with the wheel stand. Whoa! Broke well too late there. Okay, so I'm going to have to slow down a bit. Yeah, I think we've satisfied the race marshal there. So yeah, that's the equipment that I've got. Obviously the HTC Vive, and the computer is quite high-end. You don't need a high-end computer to get into sim racing, but if you want to sim race in VR, you really do, to turn on any sort of max settings. Else, you're essentially rendering this much detail to 2 eyes in a VR headset at 90 frames per second, and you need some serious horsepower to do that. And if you're on lower hardware, you'll have to start turning off graphic settings and compromising in all kinds of areas that you'd rather not, But it is what it is. You don't need the best of the best to do this. It's all about the driving experience, but the more real you can make it feel, the better it is. As we approach the last straight on Spa in P1, I think obviously we've got this in the bag. It's been a delight to drive this BAC Mono in VR. It really has. It's such a nice car. There we go. And into the final straight, up to the finish line. Thank you very much if you've enjoyed this. Thank you for watching all the way through the end. It gets hot when you're playing with VR. It gets hot. Anyway, thank you very much, guys. Fun day Sunday. Bit of a one-off for this channel. But if you enjoyed it, let me know what you think of it. If you want to see anything else like this, do let me know. And I'll see you in the next video. Toodles.